All right, let's talk about something fascinating. We're going to explore the hidden motives that are secretly running our lives. The real reasons we do what we do. And the craziest part? We're often the last to know what's truly driving us because we're so good at hiding it, even from ourselves.
I mean, we all know this feeling, right? That little last second check in the mirror, maybe rehearsing what you're going to say before you walk into a room. It's this deep, almost primal instinct to show the world a carefully polished version of ourselves.
So it really makes you wonder, what exactly are we concealing behind all that polish? What are the insecurities, the fears, the real motives we're working so hard to hide?
Well, it really starts with the masks we all wear. And no, I don't mean literal masks, of course. I'm talking about the carefully constructed personalities we put on just to navigate the, let's be honest, tricky world of social interaction.
And we don't just do this to be fake. You got to think of these masks more like armor. Yeah, armor. They shield our vulnerabilities, they help us fit in, and they absolutely protect us from the sting of judgment or rejection. We're all just trying to handle the immense pressure to be a certain way?
And what happens is our lives basically become a kind of play. We turn into these actors, seamlessly switching our personas for work, then for family, then for friends. I mean, every situation has a totally different script, and honestly, we know our lines perfectly.
Okay, but it goes even deeper than just the external masks we wear. To keep the whole act going, we also have to convince ourselves. And that, my friends, is where the stories we tell come in.
Oh man, we are master storytellers, especially when it comes to our own lives. We create these things called justification narratives to frame our actions in the absolute best possible light. Maybe it's to make a questionable choice seem totally logical, or to get ourselves off the hook for something. But either way, we always cast ourselves as the hero. And you gotta understand, these stories are incredibly powerful. They're not just little excuses we make up. No, they become the very fabric of our identity. They literally shape who we believe we are and, in turn, how we're going to act in the future. So, okay, we've got masks on the outside and these intricate stories on the inside. But why? Why do we go to all this trouble? The answer is pretty simple, actually. We're all just players in a very, very complex social game. You see, a huge chunk of our behavior isn't really about what we say it's about. It's not about achieving some practical goal. It's about signaling. We are constantly, and usually without even realizing it, sending these little signals to other people about our intelligence, our loyalty, our status, our overall value as a friend or a partner. Just take a look at this, for example. We might tell ourselves, I'm promoting the best candidate for the job. But are we? Or are we maybe just favoring someone who reminds us of, well, ourselves? Or how about this one? I'm just offering some helpful, constructive criticism. Maybe. Or maybe we're also trying to show off how smart we are and bump up our own social standing. It's a subtle difference, but it is so powerful. And really, all of this is driven by feelings we know so well. That constant, nagging need for validation, that deep-seated pressure to just conform and fit in, the quest for approval. I mean, these aren't just abstract ideas, right? These are the forces that are quietly shaping our decisions every single day. Which brings us, finally, to the central metaphor of this entire thing. After all this talk about hiding and signaling and justifying, what is the big, obvious truth that we are all collectively avoiding? Just think about it for a second. All of these hidden motives, these selfish, status-seeking, not so noble reasons that are driving so much of what we do. These uncomfortable truths that are sitting right there in plain sight if we just look. They are the elephant in the brain. It's an unforgettable metaphor for a very, very good reason. So, to put it simply, the elephant in the brain isn't just one single hidden motive, it's the whole shebang. It's the massive, obvious truth that we often pretend isn't there, that we are deeply social animals, obsessed with status and how we look to other people, way more than we'd ever like to admit. So how on earth do we keep from seeing this enormous elephant stomping around in our heads? Well, through masterful self-deception. Denial is like this incredible defense mechanism that shields us from truths that would just make us too uncomfortable. It lets us maintain that carefully crafted self-image we've worked so hard on. Okay. I know this all might sound a little cynical, maybe even unsettling. But listen, The point isn't to feel bad about ourselves. Not at all. The point is to gain some awareness so we can live more intentionally. So the real question is, how do we live with our elephant?
So what can we possibly do with this kind of unsettling knowledge? It actually starts with one simple, powerful thing: awareness. Look, you can't get rid of the elephant. That's not the goal here. The goal is to simply acknowledge that it's in the room with you. Just seeing it, that changes everything.
And this awareness, it opens up a real path to living more authentically. It all starts with acknowledging your own elephant, looking at your own motives with curiosity instead of judgment. Then, from there, it means allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Because real connection, that happens when we stop pretending to be perfect. And from that point, you can start to act with true intention, making choices that actually align with your values, not just your hidden social programming.
So as we wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. What's the elephant in your brain? What are the obvious but ignored truths about your own motives, or your workplace, or maybe even your relationships? Because just acknowledging that elephant, that's the first real step toward a more authentic life. Thanks so much for tuning in.